Something to Offer, the show that goes to the heart of people living their dreams, and we'll meet them in just a moment. Delighted to be in Michigan today, and my guest today is a true example to me of creating dreams and goals based on big visions. He is a master chef, and he is known as the Adventure Chef, and I'm sure many of you have seen him on the Food Network. He was also a cast member of Survivor 2. He is the founder of his own production company, Visionalist Entertainment, devoted to doing documentaries and several other kind of video projects. He also works with many charitable organizations. I am pleased to share this time with KiethFamie. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's so exciting.
I wouldn't say a master chef. You know, master chef is a credential that you gain from a long, drawn-out test. But thank you for the compliment. I like to say I can cook pretty good.
Okay. What was your favorite meal growing up, a childhood meal that you loved?
Yeah, really? You could ask me that question?
Yes.
Peanut butter, jelly, and banana.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm going to die for one of those. You got to slice the banana just right.
Okay.
It's got to be crunchy peanut butter.
Oh, yeah, definitely crunchy. Did you cook with your family, like your mom or anybody growing up, or did you prepare a special?
My mom was a good cook, but she worked a lot. My dad worked a lot, so my sister and I stayed home and did a lot of cooking. And actually, my younger sister, did more cooking than I did, and I do more of the cleanup. But yeah, I kind of broke into the cooking arena in about 16, working for a well-known chef at the time here in Detroit, Douglas, who...
Oh, I remember.
From the Great Dane restaurant, exactly.
Douglas.
Right. He kind of sparked a excitement in me to cook. And then some other great chefs, Stuart Orloff Anderson from Jacques, and you know, of course, there was Milos. I mean, Detroit's a great restaurant town, and people kind of don't really realize that secret.
Yep, it's you, and we'll talk about it later, but many of the restaurants you've been involved with always name dropped in Esquire and voted as like the best of the year and stuff like that. How about dining out, Keith? Is that easy for you, or do you know too much to really go to a restaurant?
No, I'm a simple eater. You know, at 43, I tend to eat healthy. I like to think of healthy, clean food, and as long as things are prepared the way I read it on the menu or the way it's explained to me and it's fresh, I'm pretty happy. You know, I don't always like things and stuff, but that's, it's no big deal. I think traveling around the world, there's two types of psychological mindsets when you eat out as a chef. You could be eating out with your family and you're looking just for something good and healthy to eat, but at the same time you could be traveling to some place like Paris and you can eat at a restaurant like Tour de Jean. Well, your expectations and your psychological mindset changes because you're there as an adventure, Epicurean adventure, so you're looking for things a little differently as far as flavors. So it depends on where you're at and when you're eating, but most part I'm pretty real simple eater.
Simple eater. Okay. We're going to take a moment for an offering, and when we return, Keith will share the ingredients to creating excellence in all his endeavors. We'll see you in just a moment. We're back with Keith. Keith, when did you decide that food was going to be your life's passion?
Probably I was 16, 17 years old.
Around that same time?
Yeah, and then I went to Europe and I worked in Brussels, Belgium when I was 19, and I made my way to Monte Carlo and worked in Monte Carlo. And eventually I made my way to New York, worked at the Plaza Hotel, and worked at Bloomingdale's for Michel Guillard when he had his shop there. So I didn't go to college. It's always been on the road eating, and I think I was always inspired a great deal by how chefs in kitchens can be these great leaders, orchestrators, organizers, at the same time artists. And I was fascinated by that, and I really wanted to develop and be that kind of an individual that could juggle all those different things, everything from the artistry to the technical aspects of cooking.
So, since you really learned by doing, I mean, really put it to the fire, as it were, who would you consider your mentors, and did you have, you know, a couple key ones that of
Boy,
note?
you know, young in the restaurant business, and any chef can tell you, there are people that they work under that are tutelage them, if you will, and create their spark and stuff. And so for me, it was Douglas and Stuart Anderson, and of course working for the Plaza Hotel for, you know, great pastry chefs like Gail O'Malley. But as you get a certain age and you travel around the world, you become your best mentor, eating things and tasting things. But one person will always be, I guess, through cooking with him and reading many of his books, will always be my mentor, Jacques Pepin.
Oh,
who's,
yes.
you know, he's a good friend, but he's just a phenomenal. And I'll bet you there's thousands of chefs out there that will say Jacques Pepin is their mentor, and very true to cooking, great chef.
That's great. You know, in learning more about you and, you know, looking at your things you've written, I was kind of struck, your love for people. To me, it translates in a way to the study of almost anthropology through food, you know, discovering cultures and nations. And I wondered if that would be kind of an appropriate interpretation on my part, and if we could possibly hear what you think about that.
It's very intuitive for you to focus in on that, but they're very simple in explanation. And I think that anytime you travel around the world, I've always had this philosophy, and of course that became the name of the book that we just created. I've always had a philosophy. You really haven't been there until you've eaten the food. And so whenever I get to a new city, whether it's Bora Bora or whether it's Memphis, the first thing I always want to do is I want to go to the market. I want to see, what do they eat? What do they grow? How do they shop? How do they cook? It tells you so much about the people and the culture and where you're at. And the book, of course, You Really Haven't Been There Until You've Eaten the Food, is a culmination of our travels around the world for our shows we do on the Food Network and stuff. And it really captures everything from Seattle to Bora Bora. I mean, you know, and recipes from grandmothers to great chefs.
And people's stories, too.
And fun stories, right, yeah.
Great.
So, and I think that those things are really important.
So we're going to look at a clip from Australia right now, since we've been talking about all this great stuff. That's the wrong one. There we go.
Okay.
Just get her in her.
My journey begins in northern region of Australia, outside of Cairns. It's here you'll find the gateway to the rainforest, the Great Barrier Reef, and of course, the infamous Outback. The largest saltwater crocodile ever shot. We came from this area here. He was 26 feet. Today we're going to be feeding Zach lunch. He comes from this area here, and he is 16 feet. It's dinner time here at Wild World, and this is how it's done. Man. Come on, big dog. Come on, get up. Come on. The 10 most venomous snakes in the world. Australia has 8 of them. Fortunately, this black-headed python is not one of them. But let me show you some that are. Hello, baby. So here's the deal. The inland taipan, one lethal bite, full bite, can kill 60 adults. If I was bit by the snake, I'd have 20 minutes to live. Kind of glad it's behind the glass. You know what I mean?
We're back, and Keith's got a cool instrument from Australia.
Kids love this. And didgeridoo. It took me 2 weeks to learn to say the name didgeridoo. It took me a month to figure out how to play it. You know, it's interesting. The Aborigines who created this instrument, which is actually created, it's a hollowed out piece of wood that by termites, can circle breathe. They can continually breathe and blow at the same time, which I've yet to figure out how to
Yeah,
do.
wow. And you got a lot of signatures.
These are for my survivor comrades.
Oh, wow.
Because, you know, that was from Australia, so there they are.
Cool. Great. We're going to talk about that a little bit more later. I feel like you have sort of a Midas touch in terms of the things you go after and do, in terms of creating notable eateries and, you know, great television programming and books. And can we talk a little bit about some of the surprising or exciting challenges in some of the restaurants that you've been involved with here in Detroit, like Lake, Chez Raphael, and the ones you started,
Les
Durango?
Auteurs was my first restaurant. You know, I built it in 1988, and it was my approach to creating that American bistro, casual but yellow French, and you know, we had a great run with it for several years in Food and Wine magazine, Esquire awards and stuff. And then
Durango you had at the
Durango
same time?
Grill turned it, and I eventually turned that restaurant into a cowboy restaurant. You know, the boredom set in with me, and I had a jazz club for a while, and then I opened a restaurant called Forte for the Wisney family in Birmingham, and you know, we were very fortunate. I was there within 2 years. And we Esquire magazine awards again and things like that. And then I decided to start my production company and really do my own television shows based around adventures in cooking and traveling around the world and stuff like that. And I did that on NBC here for a while until Survivor knocked on the door and things kind of changed from there. But yeah, never is it. I think that anybody you talk to you assume that they have the Midas touch. It's because so often you don't see the failures. I can guarantee you I've got far more failures than successes. But I think that it's a good learning curve. It keeps you grounded.
The challenges. And
I kind of strive on this stress, and I think it keeps me sharp and keeps me focused.
That's that survivor factor.
Yeah, the type A, you know, extreme personalities, you know.
Well, I heard a chef on a program recently say that food and creating it for restaurants is a theatrical endeavor in many ways. You know, the prep, the presentation, the audience. Would you agree? And I think you kind of alluded to that a couple minutes ago.
Oh, there's no question that at 5:30 when you open the restaurant up for service, theater is on, and you're like on a stage. And that was a very typical analogy I would use with the waitstaff, because our kitchen was open at Les Auteurs and at Forte for that matter. Sure, when you open the doors, theater is on. Your smiles go on, your personality goes up, and all your hardships stay behind you, because now you're acting. And you put on a great show, both, you know, in your appearance and, of course, in the food.
Yep, and you got to please that crowd, and they're all different.
Absolutely, you're only as good as your last meal.
Yeah, right.
Just like you're only as good as your last performance.
One question I did have about that is, when you start a restaurant and you're, you know, the chef, how is it easy to, I don't want to say let it go or let it over, you have to have other people that are cooking besides yourself. I mean, you know, is it difficult to choose?
Any great restaurant with any great chef's only as good as his great team. I mean, that's just a given. I mean, you can't do everything yourself. So how you pick, how you train, how you motivate, how you develop your staff is really a mirrored image of yourself. I mean, so sure, absolutely. But you can't do it yourself.
No. I have a question later about teamwork. I want to ask a little bit more about the production company, Visionless Entertainment. What prompted that? I mean,
well, the name Visionless, people, I mean, now they're used to it, but where did that name come from? It doesn't mean anything. But, you know, what's in a name? For me, it meant a lot.
I would think it's having a huge vision and going for it.
I mean, I've always had this one saying, and I've used it for years and years, and I teach it to kids in schools and stuff. To dream is to fantasize. To visualize is to expect. If you can take your vision and make it an expectation, you have far more opportunity of having it come to fruition. If you keep it as a fantasy or a dream that, oh, I wish someday, and I dream that someday I'm going to do this and this. You know, if you can really
relying on the fates of the gods,
you know, you really want to put a focus on it and really go after something. And, you know, good things take a lot of work. Everything, you know. They may look easy to the outside world, but there's a lot of work on the inside to get things done.
Right, and sometimes people begin to know that person after they've already, you know, docked in a lot of time creating whatever, and they think it's all of a sudden something.
Right, exactly. A concert pianist who so freely gets on stage and plays in a great piece, people say, oh, he's so gifted and so wonderful. Yeah, but you've got 20 years of hard work there.
It's true. It's really true. Can we talk a little bit about the projects and the series that you've done for Food Network and some of the other series you've done? I know you have Hanoi to China, you've got the Aussie,
Right.
you've got the Greek and
We've got
France one coming
we've got a
up.
France 1-hour special coming up that'll be airing on Food Network. It's a 1-hour documentary called Keith Famie's Adventures. It's it's in France. We just did one in Greece.
Yeah,
So I mean,
your children went with you.
my kids, Josh and Alicia. Alicia is now 13. Josh is 11. Have traveled with me from Bora Bora to Athens to Paris.
That's great.
They're very, very fortunate, and but not snooty and not spoiled about it. They really get into the production mode. They help carry stuff. They go to the markets. I teach them about foods, and so I think it's a good nurturing for them. And they learn about other cultures and other kids.
And young people. And
yeah, exactly.
It's like being a little United Nations on the move. It's great.
It's a good thing for them.
It's very good. I wanted to ask, I love to cook, and I spent a lot of time cooking with my mother. She was a great cook. She just did it. It was really natural. And I often, for myself, because it's very natural, I just kind of do it, that I always try to relate that to other parts of my life that are a little bit more challenging. Like, let me just have it be as easy as it is in the kitchen. I never worry, like, if I'm going to mess up or, And I wondered if a lot of your visions and your ideas come in that process when you're being with the food. I don't mean necessarily performing it or...
Fortunately, having traveled as much and cooked as much as I do and have in my lifetime, my repertoire of knowledge is such that I don't usually mess too many things up in the kitchen. I can pretty much go into a store, visually pick up things, visually know what I'm going to do with it, and visually create it before I've ever created it. So I pretty much know exactly where it's going to go. It's rare that I screw anything up. On occasion now, baking, which is a very exact science, and I'm a very free-form type of person, I can mess up something baking. But cooking, usually everything turns out pretty good tasting. And if it doesn't, I just say, that's the way it's supposed to taste.
There you go. And what I was getting at too is there, like, for me, that being in that space is a real open space, and there's like more creativity for me, not just in the cooking of the food, in terms of my freedom to be, do you get freedom to have some of the visions and the dreams come up while you're doing?
There's no question that, and I cook, I'm in the kitchen probably at least once a day, if I'm not cooking for somebody or an environment or an entity or something or an appearance, I'm cooking for kids. Yeah, I get lost in it, working with my knife and chopping and stuff, and I'm always, what you're saying is very true. I keep a notepad next to me, not to make notes for the recipe, because I'm thinking of other things that are going
sort of
on.
meditative.
I'm problem solving for me. It's kind of like, and everybody knows I'm in the kitchen if I'm cooking at home. Just leave me alone because I'm cooking. What I'm really doing is processing other problems. Cooking is my vehicle to resolve them.
That's great. You have, your 3 books are very insightful. About cooking and the human experience, and I wondered if we talked a little bit about this book, but I wondered if you wanted to speak about how the writing process was for you and what you hope to give each, the readers.
These 2 books, I don't have the 3rd book here.
Right.
The other book's just a small one's called Yes, I Can Cook Rice, just
and
to
that has
resolve
some
the
equation to the survivor thing. Yeah.
But this book was the first book, Famie's Adventures in Cooking. It's kind of a culmination of recipes from, all the way back in the late 80s, if you will. It was the first book I did. And then this one just came out, Clarkson Potter. It's Playboy actually just did a story on it a couple months ago. You can get it on our website, adventurechef.com. You can get it on Amazon.com and things like that. This is a collection of recipes from all around the world.
Right.
Everything from Bora Bora to Memphis to Seattle. It's really a great book. And a photographer, Joe Vaughn, very well-known photographer, traveled with us. Great writer, Chris Castle, traveled with us. And we basically, as we were creating the shows for Food Network, just every day logged everything we did every day. And so there's some great stories in there. And the sad thing about a book like this is there's so many great stories that just didn't fit in the pages.
Right.
And but that's okay. There's
That's
some really
the
good
hard
ones.
part for you to decide what you get to put in and what you don't get to put in. That editing can be like very painful.
Trust me, it really was.
I'm sure.
It's like a show.
Yes. Can you talk about that cabbage dish from Africa?
Kenya, kashaberry.
I was going to say, I'm not going to be able to say it.
Kashaberry slaw. It's a
sounds
really
so
simple.
good.
It's a real simple coleslaw that they make. It's very refreshing. And the 2 prominent flavors in there. There's no mayonnaise in there. There's no vinegar in there. The 2 prominent flavors that give it its flavor is lime juice and cilantro. And it's just got coleslaw, onions, tomatoes, and carrots. And everything's chopped and mixed together. The coleslaw is shredded like you normally would. And it just sits for 20 minutes or so. And all those flavors come together and it's so refreshing. And you know what we do is we serve it with a, I do it a lot at events, we make an African Durban spiced shrimp. I came up with a...
one of these?
I do use one of those. This is a new spice line that we just came up with. It's called KiethFamie Adventure Chef, and this is an African Durban spice. And it's got cinnamon in there, it's got nutmeg, it's got clove, but it's got annatto seed. And annatto seed is from Africa.
Got it.
And it's got a really great flavor on shrimp.
Yeah.
It's got a little spicy.
Little bite in it.
But it's very aromatic and a lot of spice. And so that's our African one. This is a Moroccan seasoning. It's fantastic on salmon. This is probably the best, and I'm not just saying this, probably the best rub you'll ever come up with for chicken and meat.
Oh, yeah. Good for both.
Chicken, meat, turkey tenderloin. It's really good stuff. And you can get this on adventurechef.com. And it's
yeah, go to his site.
one of the
really
secrets in this, and I'm not going to tell you all of them, but one of the secrets in this is lemon myrtle. Lemon myrtle is an herb from Australia. And it's got a very lemony flavor, and that's in it. So it's kind of
cool. All right, we're going to take another offering, and when we return, we're going to talk to Keith about how he survived in Survivor and some other things in life that he's up to. We'll see you in just a moment. We're back again with Keith, and we're going to talk about some other really spicy stuff. Survivor, how did that happen for you? And, you know, did you submit yourself? Did somebody else submit you? I mean, your life is pretty, I mean, you didn't need, like, more stuff going on. You have a lot going on. How did it all happen?
yeah, that pretty much put the brakes on anything working at the time. You know, people say, why did you want to do Survivor? And it was actually wasn't a complicated decision. It was, what other game can you play where you got 1 in 16 chance of winning $1 million? You know, I'm not a rich guy. I didn't come from a rich family, so what the heck? And it seemed like my cup of tea. Adventure, food, you know, middle of nowhere.
Did somebody bring the idea to you, or did you?
You know, it came up. It was something that was on the internet, and people were talking about it, and you had to fill an application out and a video, and I sent that. I sent a video and application in, and you know, before I knew it, it was something that they decided to interview me for. And you know, they have 42,000 applicants for Survivor 2, the Australian Outback, and so it was really amazing process to go through all the interviewing process. And I just took every day as you know, as a new day. It's however far I go. However I go in the interview process, I'll be happy and whatever. And I did the same thing when I was on the show. I wasn't very methodical on how far and how to play the game as much as I said, you know, I'm going to work hard, just be the best person I can be, and how far I get. And I think that's really the way you should play that game. And the more conniving and the more sneaky and the more manipulative you are, the more it works against you. And it's very much in life.
I was going to say, it's really quite parallel to life.
Survivor is always and will be the #1 reality television show because it creates the opportunity to mirror society in a social structure that's untouched. 16 people, all different parts of the world, that have to cohabitate together without any intrusion from the outside.
That's amazing. So your overall experience, what was your overall experience?
For me,
the turnaround point for you?
My best experience from Survivor, I think, for what I gained from it is the opportunities, things that I've been able to do with kids. Because you get off a show like that, you know, your name and face is everywhere. You do all these interviews, you do Letterman, your early show, and all this stuff. And when it's all said and done, it's said and done. But where does it carry on, and what can you do with it? And you know, I do a lot of programs, kids programs and things like that.
We're going to talk about. You have ICANN. I-K-A-N?
I helped found an organization called ICANN, International Kids Alliance Network. For 3 years, I've been the president of the Rainbow Connection. I'm now their vice president. Raises money for kids with life-threatening illnesses.
Right, and we're going to show, I think we got some letters coming.
Oh, well, you know, the fun thing about Survivor is that, you know, you get letters from all over the world. It's kind of amazing. You get all these letters from all over the world, and from kids. I mean, Canada, from South Africa. People know you everywhere, so it's really kind of an amazing thing. And you get some really colorful ones like this one down here on the bottom. It's really a neat thing. And kids are excited. You're their hero for a little period of time, and so they ask you to send them things like pictures and stuff like that.
And you don't know how long that holds them to whatever their next goal or vision is in their life. You really don't know how big your contribution is when you're not even trying. You know, you're just trying to do something nice.
Right, right. Well, one thing fun for me is I do these school programs called Touch, Smell, and Taste, where we go into schools, and it's called Touch, Smell, and Taste. And what I do is I bring foods from around the world and go to all different classrooms, 6th grade classrooms usually, 5th or 6th grade classrooms, and let them taste different foods. You know, like they'll taste Vegemite, or they'll taste ugly fruit from Jamaica, or coconut, and to see their expressions, and I play the didgeridoo for them. And what's neat is that they can have that opportunity to learn about food, but what I'm really teaching them is about kids from other places.
Right, and opening up their vision. Right. Chefs Against Hunger, you're involved in that too? You know,
we started Michigan Chefs Against Hunger years and years ago, and it was a fairly large organization at one time. Now it's just minimal in the sense that this is our 15th or 16th year, every Christmas Eve, there's like 4 of us that do a dinner for the homeless on Christmas Eve, downtown Detroit. And we, you know, this is where we spend our Christmas Eve with each other.
That's nice. You know, we're going to run out of time, and I have a couple quick things I'd like to ask you. You know, you speak a lot. You motivate people. What sense of responsibility, because of all you've done and the fame, no pun intended, famey and the fame, but, you know, that you have, I mean, there's a responsibility to the world. So what is it that you really hope to give, leave, you know, contribute to people?
I think that when it comes to adults, if the best thing that I can pass on to an adult is to make them really understand that there's a small mind out there somewhere, whether it's their own child or another child, that can use and needs their leadership and their support and their help and their guidance in the world. It's hard to change adults. Don't try to. Don't even attempt to myself. You know, to be honest with you, it's kind of difficult. But kids, they're impressionable. If you can pass something on to one child one time a day that in some time is positive, that they can use in their life, then that's a good thing. I believe one thing, honestly, do good and good will come.
That's great. I want to thank you so much. We're out of time.
No.
I could have asked you a million more questions. It's been a
pleasure
real
being
honor.
here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Until next week, be well. And, you know, you can cook up something in your life, too. Whatever your dream is, go after it. We'll see you next week.
And up here on the top are some almonds. If I can get them down. Where are they? Let me see. Ah, here. Here's a fresh almond. And if you take the almond and you can put them in salad. Of course, now I'm having a difficult time getting this one in half, so there we go. I know that this works because I've done it already. And as I hope to not impale myself with my knife. Voila! Okay.